Good morning, good morning, good morning, nephew.
Good
What it
morning.
do
Good morning.
today?
I am
You doing all right?
blessed. Yes, ma'am. I'm black and blessed. I'm black and
Black and
blessed.
blessed. All right, all right. I guess I am too then. Let's get at it. How was your day yesterday?
It was amazing. Very productive. Preparing for an event that I get the opportunity to participate in here. This not this weekend, but the following weekend, and also kind of preparing for Easter this weekend. So it was productive. Did a little daddy daughter outing. So she went with me on some of my errands. So that was pretty cool. And she just kept asking me for snacks along the way. But at the end of the day, as long as she's happy and not crying, I'll be all right.
All right, all right,
How
all
about your day?
right. I had a good day. I had a good productive day. Busy, but very productive to the point where, as you know, I was like, okay, I gotta let life settle today here and take care of Tammy. So I had to kind of shut it down, bring some silence into my life, kind of let the people in the world go for a minute, and I'm
Hmm.
back at it.
Yes,
Back at
ma'am.
it. So
Yes, ma'am.
let's do it. Let's do it. We already got somebody in with us. So Miss Brenda Davis, she rocks with us. I mean, she's like Michael
Good
Jackson. I
morning, Miss
want to
Brenda.
rock with you. Yeah, she does it with us. Come on, y'all. Come on in. Come on in the room,
Yeah,
right?
I'm glad that she's able to gain something from each and every day. I'm glad that she's chiming in and it's hopefully, making a difference for her. I know I'm just joining the show and have had the opportunity to join the show, but Miss Brenda, from myself, from my auntie Miss Butterfly, just thank you for being consistent. That consistency is going to reap a benefit. It's going to have some reciprocity.
Mhm.
So thank you for joining us.
All right. All right. What you got for us this morning?
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, today is March 28th. It's March 28th. It's day 57 of Daily Motivations from the book of Daily Motivations for African American Success by David Kimbro. The passage that we're reading today is entitled The People's Court. The People's Court. So let that sit in for a second. When you think about the People's Court, are we thinking about what we see on TV? Some of the court shows we have an opportunity to watch on TV. What comes to mind when you think of the People's Court and where David Kimbrough might be going in this particular passage? The quote from the day comes from Clifton Wharton Jr., Secretary of the U.S. Department of State. The quote is, "The most effective resource is the quality of your performance. Your energy should be directed to doing the best possible job you can." I'm going to read that again. The most effective resource is the quality of your performance. Your energy should be directed to doing the best possible job you can. All right. So the passage reads, and the motivation from the day goes as such: we should judge ourselves by what we feel capable of doing, not by what we have done. Nothing else will motivate you to greatness so much as belief in your own inherent potential. There's a potency inside of you that will transform your dreams into realities if you tap into it. You be the judge. You be the judge. You should not be afraid to think too highly of yourself. The Creator made you and is not ashamed of the job. He has pronounced his good work, and you should respect it. Persistently hold to the thought that you are internally progressing towards something higher and greater. The constant struggle to measure up to such a worthy ideal is only the force in heaven on earth that can make a life great. Your self image depends on your idea of yourself, the mental picture of the person you are, and you that you are meant to be. It is you who will define your own greatness. No one can stop your date with destiny. No one can cast your fate. You are the judge and the jury, the vision that grips your heart, the longing of your soul to do something significant, that dream of high achievement that occupies your imagination. It is not a mere fantasy. It is a prophecy of great things that you would do if you believe in your own potential. And the affirmation for the day is, I will never sell myself short. I will never underestimate my own abilities. Two more times, I will never sell myself short. I will never underestimate my own abilities. Again, I will never sell myself short. I will never underestimate my own abilities. Miss Butterfly.
So, the People's Court, right? Going to the quote, yeah, I feel like I had this. This is a conversation that spilled over in today that I had with someone yesterday, and I actually sent them a message and just now and asked them to please chime in because and let me say this before I get into that conversation. This morning as I'm preparing, I was thinking about how we talked about chicken. You know, it could be a Church's across the street, you may be Popeyes, Church's, KFC, and now Crispy Crunchy at the gas station, right? And as I'm getting ready, I'm saying, you know what, it doesn't matter, because if we're all selling chicken and I'm on that corner selling mine, there's something I have that they don't, and that's me.
Mm-hmm.
Me. The me that I know I am is in an ingredient in my chicken recipe, right? But the ingredient is only as good as I believe it is, right? So I know that I have to put it in there in order for my chicken, the people that love my recipe will come, and I can't deviate from it. I know if you like me, y'all have had some food where you go somewhere, and because I'll do it, especially now. If I go in and they have a bad attitude, if I get a waitress, we're gonna have a conversation, or I got to get up and leave because I can't pay for something that ain't gonna be good. And if their energy is off or something feels off, and I've actually did this to a waitress. I said, "What is going on? Are you okay?" And it got to the point where she actually sat down with me and she wasn't okay. She just needed to talk.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, you can go bring me my food because we good now. We're not gonna have your ingredients. Your ingredient is now in you, which is what I need to be touching my food, right? Because we pass it on. So I thought about the person that I spoke with yesterday and just trying to tell him. And one of the examples that I used, I always try to make it about myself, meaning how I've had to grow through some things. And so I was sharing with him that I did a job that I did not want to do, that I feel like it physically made me sick sometimes, right? But I knew that was my assignment. I knew that I had to be there in spite of my feelings. It didn't come with a lot of money. Um, there was days I was like, God, what are you doing? Why? Am I done? Right? Because I look at them as an assignment. But I shared this with him, is that I still did it with excellence. I went in every day with an attitude that I'm going to do my job in a way, in such a way that everybody that walks through this door will know I'm doing it in pursuit of excellence, right? Because I have to. I have to. And so it made me think about that. Just how much we have to believe in ourselves. And it says, "It is you who will define your own greatness. No one can stop you with your date. You
Mm-hmm.
have a date with destiny. Your date with destiny. No one can cast your fate. You are the judge and the jury in the people's court. You are." So over to
Yes,
you.
ma'am.
Over to you.
So I'm just going to piggyback off that. And one thing that I think that people constantly do is they give up their power
Mhm.
of belief, their power of, you know, this self identity. They give up that power in so many ways that self confidence, they just give it away because they're looking for somebody else to confirm who they are. And nobody else can confirm who you are until you know who you are. And so that journey sometimes, and like I've heard, I was at a AAP luncheon, just to add this in. I was at an AAP luncheon, and Omari Hardwick was the speaker, and he said, sometimes it takes people an entire lifetime to figure out who they are, but they can lose it in one moment. They can
Mm.
lose it in one moment. So you can come years down the road, 40s, 50s, 60 years old, and finally get to this point where you understand exactly who you are, your self identity, your self awareness, and being able to put that into words, being able to walk that out with confidence. And just in a moment, because somebody rubs you the wrong way, or somebody comes in and they rip you of this identity from challenging who they think you are, what their perception of you is, and because you decide to get out of character, you lose who you are.
Mm,
So just be careful with the power that you give up by wanting confirmation from others. You know, we should offer the book that we're reading, the 57 days that we're on right now, are affirmations. Do you affirm yourself
mm,
daily? Do you believe in yourself
mm.
daily? Do you have confidence in yourself daily? And are you realistic and honest with yourself daily? Because nobody should be more of a judge over you than you are over you. Because you have to live with you. You have to look at yourself in the mirror. You have to go to sleep with yourself every night. You have to wake up, put on clothes, on a body, on a mindset, on a perspective, on an idea of an image that you view yourself every single day. So have you relinquished your power to someone else because you haven't taken hold to the identity that God has given you? Have we not done that? So I just wanted to throw that in. It was totally like just based off what you said, and I did not have that written down, but I think it was vitally important that we touch on the base that, often with so many influences outside of just our home, and sometimes in our home can be poor influences over our self identity and over our belief. And if we think we're beautiful, if we think we're cute, if we think we're smart, if we think we're intelligent, if we think we're all these particular attributes, all these pronouns, like if you're in that space, don't allow anybody to govern over your belief over you. It's truly what you think about you that you have to live with you, that you have, like Kimbro has mentioned, like you be the judge. You be the judge. It's up to you, because only God can actually judge you. But while you're here on this earth, what you do, you have to live with it. Like the old folks say, and I love it. You make your bed, you're gonna have to lay in it.
I lay in it. Yeah.
You have to lay in it. It's not just with money. It's just not just with mistakes. You have to lay in the same bed of that belief system that you have over yourself, that confidence, that potential that you think you have. So just take that back, just throwing that in there. But going back to what I gained from the passage, and just is explicitly going back to exactly the approach that I took yesterday with researching the quote and where the quote and the historical figure, or the individual that David took the quote from, and Clifton Wharton Jr. So just a little context about Clifton Wharton Jr. He was the first African American to enter into foreign service. And so there was an act that passed in 1923 that allowed for people of our color to be able to be in those spaces. And he served in that space. And I'm talking foreign relations. We're talking about a black man being a part of foreign relations. We don't just only have issues here in the United States for being a person of color. If you start to travel and start to connect the dots to other areas in this world, a black man being in that space is unheard of, especially after the 1920s. So he probably served. I didn't get the date of service, but I would assume he served anywhere between 1940s to the early 1960s. We're talking about a gentleman that's 97 years old and who is still living
Mm,
at this particular point. So when you think about the context and you think about where it was that his that quote was stemming from, what external factors were going on around him, to say the most effective recourse is the quality of your performance. Your energy should be directed towards doing the best possible job you can. Now, everybody hasn't had that experience, especially at that particular time. And we still would say the same even to this day,
mm,
because things come in seasons, and we'll kind of touch on that. But it says, should be directed, your energy should be directed towards doing the best possible job you can. Ladies and gentlemen, that's a spiritual truth. That is a spiritual truth. It comes to us from Colossians 3:23. That spiritual truth is do everything as if you're doing it for the Lord. Do everything as if you're doing it for the Lord, no matter how small it
mm.
is, no matter how big it is. And there's a reason, there's a reciprocity in doing everything to the best of your ability, because you get an opportunity to receive knowledge, the education, the know-how, and you get to have an awareness of what you're good at and what you're not good at. But you get a chance to build up that skill in that particular area by always putting your best foot forward. Because when you don't do it, and you have energy, and see, I know you've heard this. What you put in is what you'll get out.
And if it's something different, you better check some things out, right?
Right. Right. It might be time to pivot or swivel. But then again, like I
Yes.
said, that reciprocity is education. Like I tell my direct reports, and I tell anybody that I mentor, even if you have a difficult boss, or you're under a leader that you don't quite get along with, or you're not quite gathering, like the dots are just not connected, or maybe you're in a relationship where the dots are just not connecting, or some personal relational, I would say, interrelational moment or interrelational instance. Even if you don't come together with that person, or even if you don't come together with that thing, or that you, maybe it's a relationship with school, maybe it's a relationship with finances, maybe it's a relationship with no matter, you can plug in whatever you want to plug in, because you have a relationship with that thing or that person or that place or whatever the case may be. Ask yourself, why do I have an issue with this? Why is there a discourse? Why is there a disconnect? And here's the thing, out of all of it, sometimes it's not for you to gain a connection through it. Sometimes that experience is for your education.
Mm.
It's for your education. Let me learn more about something I didn't have a lot of information about. And doesn't mean I agree with it. It doesn't mean that I subscribe to it, and it doesn't mean I have to be belong to that particular side of whatever it is. And let's take it to a larger scope, just for a hot second. When we think about race relations, the biggest issue in race relations is this one quote: "Where there's a problem, there's a lack of information." So whatever that is that's difficult, that's separating you from having a better relationship, or having the education from a reciprocity standpoint, so you can understand it better. Because once you understand it better, you have a better relationship with it. It's just like they say with animals that are afraid of us. People and things are afraid of what they don't understand. So once you gain more understanding about it, you are able to gain a better perspective. And sometimes that understanding, just to bring it full circle, is about you. How well do you understand you? How well
Yes.
do you know you? How well do you spend time with you? Do you always jump from relationship to relationship, so you never get an opportunity to understand who you are and what potential you have and what you bring to the table? So
Mhm.
therefore, every time you get in a relationship, the only thing that you can bring is something sexual, because you don't know yourself well enough to say, I have X, Y, and Z, so I have value. And because I have that value, I know that I'm not going to drop my standard of dealing with whatever situation that I'm dealing with, whoever I'm dealing with, whatever circumstance that I'm dealing with. I know that I'm better than this. And I know that I don't have to allow myself to deal with it, because I am better than that.
Well, I think that sometimes people are, as you said that, and I've been writing down a lot, but I want to go right to where you just said, we flip flop back into how we see ourselves. Someone can say something, as you mentioned, it takes years to learn who you are and a minute to lose it because you flip flop. You really don't understand who you are and whose you are. And not being in an arrogant way, it just is what it is. I'm not going to apologize for it. When I walk in a room or when I'm going somewhere, I feel like one of the president's children.
Hmm.
Like, do you know who my daddy is?
Right.
He is President Obama, baby. I'm Sasha
Right.
and what's the other one's name? Sasha and Malia, right?
But
I
yeah.
think I'm both of them, all wrapped up in one. Do you know who my father is? He is the president, not of the United States, but of the whole world, right? And people need to see that in you. Now, do I still have to learn? Yesterday was a learning day for me. I really realized I had a learning moment. So I didn't think life didn't happen to me; it happened for me because I had to evaluate some things. Right? It made me think about what I was thinking about and how yesterday and some things that happened yesterday. So
Hmm.
you have to make sure that you're not flip flopping in how you see yourself. And don't pick it up. The person I talked with yesterday kept, don't pick it up. And sometimes
Hmm.
what you see in someone else or you feel some way about somebody is because you are seeing something in them that you need to deal with, or you are familiar with it enough to recognize, man, I had to deal with that, but it's gone. Because we have these trauma bonds, we have
Hmm.
these spiritual
Hmm. Hmm.
connections, right? That happen. If you will
Hmm.
just take the time and say, hey, like you said, if you make our elders used to tell us, The bed you make, if you make your bed, you gotta lay in it. If you don't
You gotta
make it,
lay in.
you
You have
still
to lay
gotta
in
lay
it.
in it. If
Mm-hmm.
you don't make your bed, man, you gotta lay in your bed and some other people's too. So you better make it
Mm-hmm.
and put the sheets on it that you like. Go and get the good ones.
Right.
Get the good mattress,
All right. This
get the good sheets.
2003 account.
Right. Get that thread count. Because guess what? Your sleep, as Brandon said, it's a state of death,
Mm-hmm.
right? So let's sleep with, let's make our bed every day, right? But when you pull it back to recap your life, to recap the days, the woes of the days, the greatness of the days, as you go into that unconscious death, right? That sleep, have the right tools on there, right? Lay it back and lay down in peace with your value, knowing that whatever happened didn't happen to you, it happened for you. How will you
Absolutely.
value?
And what is
Um,
your perspective? How do you walk
what is
away
your
from it?
perspective? Right, right. I think that's all I had. Doing it for the Lord. You said about that as well. When you look at it that way, like when you change, even the way you argue, and I thought about this when you said that, even the way you argue with your significant other or you disagree, you should do it as you are doing it for the Lord, and that the Lord is standing right there or sitting right on the couch watching y'all
Right.
disagree.
Right. But he is though.
But he is, though. He sees everything, knows everything. So you should do it as if, because we can straighten it up, because you wouldn't argue with your spouse in front of your pastor or your
Right.
boss the way you would if they weren't there. See, you can't tell me you can't shift that thing. If you could shift it for that, you could shift it for yourself. You could become
Right.
the
Make it a
jury
habit.
and the judge. Yeah, make it a habit. So truth be told, it's like, I don't know if you've seen this. When we say truth be told, it's not them, it's you.
It's you. Yep.
It's you.
Yep. It's you.
And if you
You.
take that perspective on it, it's different. Life is different for you, because life's gonna happen to you, right? But it's happening for you. That's how we continue to grow. And I think you said, or maybe it was Brandon that said, not everybody praises and thank God when things are going good. They be like, I got this season. This is my winning season. So how you show up in your winning season, or how you shift, tells us a lot, or should tell you a lot about how you show up in your, and when you perceive as your losing season. Because I'm
Right.
not at the point,
Right.
there is no losing with God.
It's not. There's
There's
not.
not. There's
There's
not.
not.
There's not. So in that season that people may see as, okay, God, where are you? That's when I say, while I don't understand this season, God, I trust you. I'm like Mary.
Absolutely.
If this is what you say, then so be it. Let's go.
Yep. Like
Let's
Job.
go. Let's go. So back over to you, nephew.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. But another point I want to touch on, just to kind of carry it forth, because I want to definitely get to the two main points that I feel like David was asking. I feel like these were questions in so many words, and then how does the people court kind of tie into all of this? But the other element that kind of touched me was, there's the first line is always just like yesterday. It was always the first line in the passage, and we should judge ourselves by what we feel capable of doing, not by what we have done.
Mhm.
And so there's a scripture in Romans that tells you to rely back on what God has done for you before, so that you may build your confidence for what it is that He's going to do for you again or later. And so a lot of times we don't really attach that to ourselves. But when you say, like, what do we feel capable of doing, the reason that hit home, and I'm talking about grandma for a second. So
Mhm.
um had a conversation with my grandmother, and she's going through some, I would say, an illness. She's fighting through an illness at this particular point, so that it won't progress into something else. She's going on 90. And matter of fact, she turns 90 next month on the 12th. But one of the conversations and one of the things she kept repeating to me, during the time where she can't move and go about, life as the way that she used to. And it's very difficult at this particular point, if you don't walk into it with this mindset or with this perspective, that to be able to transition when you are or aren't able to do things. And I want to put it in perspective for everyone that's listening. Just think about if you lost a limb, just one
Mm.
limb, or maybe not a limb. Maybe if you lost a finger, or a toe, or maybe you lost eyesight in one eye, or hearing in one ear, or maybe just something that really disrupt the way that you have been accustomed to living your life. And so, in so many words, she's describing to me she's just not who she was. And she doesn't necessarily have to describe to me that she's not who she was, because I can see it. I can ascertain from what she's asking me to do. This is not the same grandmother that would, go and have a foot surgery and then have us rub her foot when it's sore. And then she's back up, heading down the street. We all going on a road trip so she go play lotto. It's not the same woman. It's not the same woman that's cleaning dormitories at Florida State. It's not the same woman that's taking us to the lake so that we can go out and swim. And then if we can't swim, she's out there kind of holding us up to make sure that, we don't take on water. But, you know, when I thought about this, it said what we feel capable of doing. And my thought process, this kind of gave me a little bit of a thought process shift where it's okay, that is of the past. And it's like, what are you going to do now? What you did before is now past tense. But what are you going to do now with what you can do now? And what I want to remind everybody that's listening is seasons change. Seasons change. Where's the seasons are going to change? The season is going to be a season for everything. And I'm not going to go through the entire scripture and read off how there's a time to cry, there's a time to laugh. I'm not going to do that. But seasons change. And like I always tell, people, and this one thing that I truly believe in, our bodies, when we think about our bodies being a vessel, it's just like you bought a car. And God knows what's going to happen to this car over time. We don't often know what's going to happen to the car, no matter how well we take care of it, no matter the oil changes, no matter the maintenance checks, no matter if we go and get our tires rotated. We don't know that at some point that alternator might go out, that starter might go
Mm.
out, that transmission might not work, or it might not shift gears the way it used to. And we're all going to go into old age at some point if we're blessed to be able to do so. But seasons change. Not only the seasons change, dreams evolve. So sometimes we're in a space where it's like we want something to happen because that was our dream, but it evolved into something else. Just like we spoke on yesterday, your gift makes room for you. That dream might evolve. You might wanted to play professional Major League Baseball, but maybe it wasn't for you to actually play the game. It was for you to call the game. There's a story about a gentleman who's one of the most well-known broadcasters for Major League Baseball, that his original dream was to play, not to call the games. And he ended up being one of the best to ever do it. So don't sell yourself short into what your gift is going to make room for, and being able to shift into those capability changes, those season changes, that skill development that now opens up the door for another dream or another opportunity, because you've lived life and because you've done it with the best of your ability. You've learned how to do other things along the way that has now opened up a different door that you didn't see coming. I'm a true testament. I can definitely attest to being one of those individuals, even in the space that I'm in right now. But I feel like for this passage, David Kimbro was asking two words. What do you believe about yourself? Number one. And then the second one, how hard are you willing to work to obtain it?
Mm.
What do you believe about yourself? And how hard are you willing to work to obtain it?
Right.
Those are the questions that came out of this passage. And so when you think about people's court, just to kind of bring it to a full circle and to a close, is when you think about people's court, the people's court is just you and the different seasons of you, the different attributes that you have, the different perspectives that kind of go into your thought process when you're trying to make a decision. And so the people's court is made up of a few different elements: your self-awareness, your self-accountability, the standard that you have for yourself, how are you motivated, your self-motivation, and your self-discovery. These are all elements that go into court. These are all things that have to be brought back with information, with validation, with factual knowledge. Who has factual knowledge over you than you? So you be your judge, as David Kimbrough has said in the passage.
So as we work to bring it to a close, it's 7:30. I thought about, I'll share this really quickly. I had a friend who bought a new truck some years ago, right? And the transmission went out in a brand new truck, like within a year's time. The
Mm-hmm.
transmission went out. So you think about people who, they lose a limb, right? They thought that they were going to have their arms all of their life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or leg. Um, but some of those people choose to not see what they can do now with what they have.
Mm-hmm.
As you was talking about your grandma, it made me think about, I've seen elderly women who are of age, not able to do what they used to could do. But these women, some of them, as far as exercise, they would sit in chairs and exercise,
Mm-hmm.
right? They would kind of find they will find a way, and that's what we mean by, um, when you can't do what you used to do, do what you can do. What can
Exactly.
you do
What
now?
can you do?
Because see, we buy into, just like the financial thing, we buy into old age means that I can't now. I can't now. Well, what can you do now?
What
What
can you
can
do?
you do now? Can you sit in this chair and lift some weights? You know, and this is speaking to me. I need to do the same thing as I go through TMI for y'all, but as I go through my menopause, I'm losing muscle mass. So
Mm-hmm.
I have to work harder. I got to get out there and do some things, right? I got to move it so that I don't lose it.
Yep. A
So this
body
is
in motion keeps going.
right, right. So I have to do the work, right? So this has been beautiful. Again, if you have not gotten this book, I'm gonna say, what are you doing? What are you doing every morning? If you've not got this book and applying it, if you're just coming here and walking away, not going in the room that needs to be remodeled, right? As we talked about that yesterday, what are you doing? What are you doing? So over to you as we bring it to a close. Unless you have
I,
more.
right. I would close with this, and I would, just as if the reference to the gentleman that had aspirations and dreams of being in Major League Baseball and actually being a player and end up being a commentator or a broadcaster. There's a gentleman named Inky Johnson that was going to be the first. And people I know, some of our listeners have heard that name. Definitely look at his story and how he became a motivational speaker. One of the top motivational speakers within the world, I would say, is because he turned his tragedy where he almost lost his life into an entire story that was able to motivate others. So don't always look at your loss or this transition of what you could do to now you can't do that thing and you have to pivot into another space as a negative. Even now for myself, I would love to be able to go do some of the recreational sports things I used to do, but I can feel, and I literally just told one of my reps the other day, I said, man, I can feel the fact that I was injured in football. And that was way back in college. It was, 10 plus years ago. But my shoulder and my knee, just random, just randomly doing whatever it wants to do, aches whenever it wants to ache, and that's a true view on life. And so once you realize that you can't do what you used to do, let's take an account of what you can do and do something about it. Because at the end of the day, like we all said, like my auntie is echo, like Miss Butterfly's echo is, you have to live with you. You have to lay down with you. You have to wake up to you. You have to see yourself in the mirror. You have to live with yourself. And so from that standpoint, do something about it. Don't let this opportunity go to waste, because if you're still here, you still have an assignment. So to you, and sometimes that assignment is you changing you so somebody else can watch you change.
Mm,
Somebody is paying attention to you.
mm.
I promise you, somebody's watching you, somebody's paying attention to you, and you can be their example of how to keep pushing forward, how to keep moving forward, and how to evolve into a new season where you've now transitioned from one talent to another talent, but it's making room for you. But it can only do it if you believe in yourself, if you see your true potential, and you continue to put the work in. That work will have reciprocity, and that reciprocity will bring you some peace, and it will also touch those around you.
I gotta say one more thing. If we all sat around, say if 12, I'll say 11, my favorite number, 11 of us sat around and we told our story to each other, do y'all know if we compiled it into a book, how powerful that will be? Like your story should be God's glory, right? It should be
Mm-hmm.
about God's glory so that people see. See your change, but not just see your change, who walked you through that change,
Absolutely.
who delivered you through that change. So, all right, let's close it. I don't want to keep it, because I will. You'll have me here till 8 o'clock again tonight. Let's do it.
All right. So I'm going to read a little excerpt from the back of the book just so everyone can truly understand just how powerful these affirmations are. And so the back of the book reads: Daily motivations for African American success will help you focus on the thoughts, the attitudes, and deeds that will lead you to the achievement of your true goals. In 365 short, powerful motivations, one for each day of the year, Dennis Kimbro, the author of the popular Think and Grow Rich, a Black choice, leads us to discover how to use the present moment and our own gifts to transcend labels, cultivate a positive attitude, become wise enough to know when to say yes and when to say no, and when to look inward for answers to life's challenges. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been day 57, the People's Court. Remember that People's Court is your self-awareness, yourself, the standard that you set for yourself, you holding yourself accountable. How do you motivate and stay self-motivated? And how do you discover new things and new opportunities for yourself and truly see the potential that God has placed in you by the use of your gifts? Believe in you even when nobody else will.
All right. Know that you're the judge and the jury. And if we could read the affirmation the three times to
All
send them,
right. And the
one for you, one
affirmation,
for me, and one for the people in the back, as we would say.
all the way in the back.
All the way in the back.
All right. I would never sell myself short. I would never underestimate my own ability. I would never sell myself short. I would never underestimate my own ability. I would never sell myself short, and I would never underestimate my own ability.
Y'all be great. Peace. We love you. And we'll be back here tomorrow, 7 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time. Thank you.
All right.
Peace.
Y'all be blessed.